Hi, I'm CJ Elmer with Transwest Truck Trailer RV in Frederick, Colorado. We've got a brand new 2026 Logan Coach Bullseye 4-horse sitting behind us here. This one's got a really cool tack setup that we'll walk you through. Before we walk you through the trailer and show you everything, let's go ahead and take a look at the drawing. That way you can see how the trailer's laid out. On the floor, we're 21.3, so a very maneuverable trailer. With it being a Bullseye, it's going to be the standard width, which is 6'9" wide, and standard height 7 foot tall. Now, on a Logan, you're going to get a galvanized steel frame, aluminum body. So we're going to get that strength of the steel. The galvanized portion of it is going to make sure that it's not going to corrode like black steel will. In fact, you get a lifetime corrosion warranty on this trailer when you're the first owner on it. Then we're going to lighten it up and give it that aluminum trailer look with the aluminum body itself. So really good combination there. You have an 8-year structure warranty, 2-year hardware from Logan, so they really stand behind the product. We'll just start underneath the gooseneck, because underneath there you're going to start to notice this black bed type liner. This is Vortex lining, so they're going to incorporate this throughout the entire trailer. I just talked to a customer the other day. He said, hey, I'm getting ready to trade in this trailer. They bought it from us originally. It's not a Logan, so it has the aluminum underneath here. And I said, well, any dings or dents? He goes, yeah, I got a couple little dings underneath the gooseneck from rocks on the gravel road we live on. On these Logans with this Vortex lining, when we see these trailers coming on trade, we hardly ever see anything, damage underneath here. Those dings, dents, anything like that from rocks at a high velocity, if you live down those dirt roads, because this Vortex lining protects it. Again, it's like a bed liner. And for example, we all know what a pop can, an empty pop can, can be like if you step on it. Crushes really easily. Well, Logan took a empty pop can and Vortex lined it, and then had an ambassador of theirs stand on it who happened to be a big steer wrestler. The can just stays intact. It doesn't actually crush it. So that stuff is incorporated throughout the trailer. I'll point it out. Fantastic. I love this stuff. Just from its durability standpoint. Again, it's going to protect everything. Again, I'll show you as we walk through the trailer. You're going to have a manual crank jack here. Spare tire is located to the left of that. Underneath is going to be a light. So it's actually got kind of a load light underneath there with the switch over here in this driver's front corner. That way, if our cargo light's kind of blocked by the nose of this trailer, we still have that light underneath there. We can, point it back towards that actual hand crank jack. We can utilize it when we're hooking everything up. It's just nice to have that light underneath there. Now, we talked about a unique tack setup. Well, this is that closet tack. This is a really popular option because we have 2 separate rooms here, okay? So as we see, as you're looking at the left-hand side, that's our closet tack. And then we have a front dressing room ahead of it as you're looking at on the right side. What's nice about this is it keeps everything separate, okay? So we've got our tack in the actual closet tack area, then we have that front dressing room that we can utilize for, hey, maybe we're gonna throw a mattress or a bedroll or sleeping bags up there, I need to go change, and you've got your, show shirts, or, we've always noticed when these trailers come in on trade, or we look at them, this front dressing room's a lot cleaner because everything is separate. So as we come in, it's going to be kind of an L-type shape. Okay, so you probably noticed that on the drawing, but as you can see, this wraps around because we have this solid wall that separates this front dressing room from that closet tack. And if you notice, there's that Vortex lining, right? So that Vortex lining, again, incorporated throughout the trailer here. But you've got a nice area back here, kind of a blank canvas. If you wanted to add some items for storage, you could do that. Up in the gooseneck area, you've got an LED light up in the nose, and then there's one above the door as well. But you're going to have these 2 windows, which I'm a big fan of because for multiple things. One, you can create a cross breeze through here. It makes a world of difference if you are sleeping in here. Have a little bit of air movement. The other thing is you can see out. Okay, I'd get a little claustrophobic if it was completely sealed off. I like to be able to see out. I've spent a number of nights in the nose of a trailer, and it's nice to have that. But again, you've got plenty of space up here, carpet on the deck, carpet on the drop wall. And then on the drop wall, you're also gonna get this fold-up cleat. So it's really simple to hop up into that gooseneck area, and it flips up out of the way itself. Now above this tack door, you're gonna get a load light up there. That's very similar to the one that you saw underneath the gooseneck. Anytime you have a tack door or a tack room or front dressing room, like in this instance on these Logan Bullseyes, you're gonna get a load light above each door. So there's one above each of them here. They're on individual switches, so I could turn on inside a switch for the interior lights and then this specific light here. Same thing when we get to the closet tack. That load light there and then one on the inside above the door. But now as you can see, this closet tack setup, it's again completely separated. On the door itself, you're gonna have a 4-tier blanket pole rack. It's on a snap and it will swivel out. So it's really easy to access everything and then secure it while you're actually driving. Below that, you're gonna get a brush tray so you can throw those smaller miscellaneous items, your hoof picks, your brushes, your fly sprays, about anything and everything in there. These end up being a good catch-all for a lot of items. It's nice to have those guys on there. And then there's a window on there because this tack room is sealed up, doesn't have a roof vent or anything like that. So as you have saddles and blankets and pads in there, just trying to get some fresh air in there, it's nice to have that guy. And then you're gonna get a swing out saddle rack. This has the 4 saddle pads because it's a 4-horse. If you order a 2-horse, you get 2, a 3-horse, you get 3. But you can adjust these. We can remove them if we want. So there's some flexibility there, but it's nice to be able to have saddles right here outside of the trailer, really easily accessible, and then it swings in. But if you pay attention, there's still a lot of floor space in that tack room that you can store items there. So they didn't really cramp this in, moving this wall back, just kind of minimize the size of the tack room itself. It made it, good and accommodating as far as the size goes. And then you have bridle hooks up above, got plenty of those, and then there's carpet behind those as well. So if we hang bits, those type of items, we're not actually rubbing, against aluminum sheets. It's gonna protect them. Tucked back behind that saddle rack is gonna be a corner water tank. Typically that is wasted space back there. So these corner water tanks, we like to put them on all of our inventory because one, customers really, really like them. I mean, what's not to like about having water right here at the trailer? The hydrant, who knows where it's at, where you're at an event, you got to pack the buckets. I'd rather have water right here where I can fill up the buckets, or I'm traveling, or I got somebody that only likes water from home. It's nice to have it right here at the trailer. And why not? It is wasted space behind there, so let's take advantage and utilize it. So if you notice on one of those bridle hooks, you're gonna have a hose that comes with it, get you another ball valve, and then you can just fill up your buckets right here at the ground, right outside this tack setup. Now this trailer is white sheeted. That is the standard color. You can upgrade to a silver, charcoal, champagne. Those are kind of some of the popular colors. If you go to a black, whether it's the black polish or the black matte, there's an upcharge there. But those other colors, there's no additional charge if you want to go with those. We do a lot of inventory in some of those colors. If you want to do a custom color, that can be done as well. On that top rail, you get a few extra, button marker lights. So this trailer looks really cool at night, having those extra lights on there. If you notice between stalls 2 and 3, you're gonna have another load light right there. It's gonna match those above the tack doors. The rear and the driver's side, those are specifically on a switch at the back that I'll show you, but you have load lights. Again, you can tip those where you want them, point them where you want light coverage. You're gonna have plenty of light coverage on the exterior and interior of this trailer. You're not gonna be unhappy about that. I've never heard a customer say, man, this trailer's just got too much lights. I can see too well in the dark when I get to places. So definitely nice to have those. You have your 4 bus windows, good sized bus windows. You have to remember on a bus window, only half of it opens. So I'll show you some jail bars on the inside that protects those, but you have, those bus windows for airflow. You have 4 tie rings on the exterior. And then as we move down into that lower extrusion, I want to point that out because years ago when they first came out with this model, they used to take a aluminum sheet and then they would actually put bins to it. So do an extrude, put those actual bins into it to strengthen it a little bit, and it gives it that kind of extruded look, but it wasn't this actual extruded pieces that we see on this trailer. That is the standard extrusion now on their Bullseye models that they use on their stock trailers and then their standard Riot model trailers. So definitely an upgrade there. You know, really protects the side of the trailer, gives it a good look in my opinion, but nice upgrade that they've done over the last few years there. Axles, we have two 6,000-pound Dexter rubber torsion axles, electric brakes, 16-inch aluminum wheels. The aluminum wheels are an upgrade. We like aluminum wheels, and again, we've never heard a customer complain about having the aluminum wheels as an upgrade, because years down the road versus the steel, that will get those kind of rock chips, and that paint will get that kind of superficial rust and kind of start looking ugly. These aluminum wheels, as long as we don't hit anything with them, they're gonna still be able to, you know, clean up and look really nice. So definitely nice there with black with the silver accent. It works really well with the windows and the framework and then the extrusion, in my opinion. And again, those electric brakes. So those electric brakes, your tow vehicle will have to have an integrated brake controller or an aftermarket. If you need help with an aftermarket, our parts and service department can help you out with that. Same thing, you look at that and say, that's the perfect trailer, I just wish it had a hay rack. Our parts and service department could add that for you. As well as we get to the back of the trailer, and maybe you say, my horse prefers a rear ramp, or I want to haul some toys with it. Guess what? We can remove that rubber bumper and bolt on a ramp over. So we can shut those rear doors and have a ramp over on this trailer. So again, there's a lot of items that we can add after the fact to these trailers, even though they're very well equipped. 50/50 rear independent doors. The only difference between these doors is this left-hand door, driver's side door, is gonna have a little bit of a weather strip to it. And that was something we noticed a few years ago. They brought us some trailers in the wintertime, and there was a nice little line of snow that went in about 3 foot at the back of these trailers. Because typically air wants to kind of suck into these trailers at the back, air swirls. So we said, hey, instead of having that, can we put a little weather stripping just to keep all that moisture out? And they did. So that's the only difference in the two doors there. But notice your Vortex lining again. So you have it on the lower portions, your upper framework. Again, they've incorporated that throughout the entire trailer. And then there's that load light I was telling you about at the back of the trailer. So you have one on each side in the horse, you know, area, and then this one at the rear, and those are all on a switch. But then on the interior, you're gonna have an LED light above each horse on tail side. So those are on an individual switch, but you have light coverage in here with those guys. And then as we start looking at the stall area a little bit more, this back divider here, I want you to notice, these are padded dividers, solid. This back one is a telescoping. That way we can clip it over here to the driver's side of the trailer and get it out of the way. Whether we're loading, unloading, or again, maybe you're wanting to do more of a box stall type setup or hauling some toys, getting that divider out of the way and over to the side helps. But having that actual telescoping divider is a big you know, benefit, because if it didn't telescope and is solid, it'd stop about here in order to shut the rear doors. Well, you're wasting stall space. So that one gets out of the way. And then as we work forward, again, padded dividers, we can clip them back. Slam latches on tail side. So if you notice, they're recessed into the wall, and then we actually have the slam latch itself. So it's a lot safer for you and the horses. We're not having to pin anything. We can shut it, lock it into place. Again, Vortex lining. You see it on the kick walls, those upright posts around the door or window frames, and on the partition wall, all the way around. That stuff is fantastic. I'll show you one more place where it's at before we leave the stall area. On your roof, it's aluminum sheeted, but you have two-way roof vents, one above each horse, so we can manipulate airflow. We'll show you the drop windows here in a little bit, but as you can see, we can create airflow through here with our bus windows on tail side, these above the horses, and then those drops on head side. So that makes a big difference in the airflow. And speaking of those bus windows, I told you, they've got some jail bars that go across those. A horizontal, and then I can just go ahead and start shutting guys and getting them out of the way. On the floor, from what you can see, is the rubber mat on top, but what's underneath is going to be, on the Bullseye model, a standard wood floor, but if you notice, it's Vortex lined. So once again, one more area where they use that Vortex lining. You know, on these boards, I will never say you're never going to have to replace a board, but boy, we have given it so much more life and longevity. I highly doubt you'll have to replace a board because that Vortex is really going to protect it. But I mean, it is a wood floor, so there's always that chance of that. But boy, they've taken a step there to really reduce the chances of you having to do that. So again, the doors are independent. You can open and close either one. I personally like to, if I can, shut the driver's side last. And I know it kind of doesn't make sense that way. You know, you have a horses loaded, typically shut this one and then that one, but that weather stripping, if we shut the driver's side first and then that one, it just kind of lays on top of it, to where if I shut this one last, it kind of wraps into that little crevice there, and I think gives a little bit better seal to it. On your back tail lights, there's a white little strip in there, and that is a backup light that's built in there. So when you throw your tow vehicle in reverse, that will actually indicate. If you need more lighting when you're getting into unfamiliar places, guess what you have? Exterior load lights. Remember, you got one on the rear, a couple on the side. There are these switches right here. So those are for the stall specifically, and then these 3 exterior lights that we see on the back here. Over here on driver's side, there's a good look at those drop downs. So pay attention to the framework. You have framework around the windows. They're not prefab, you know, hardly any framework, piano style hinge. It's really lightweight. These are really stout, really well built. You're also going to get the jail bars, and then these come standard with a window screen on them. I can easily drop the jail bar. I just pull down on the center bar and it drops down. Again, window screen. It literally just goes over the top corners and then Velcros. So if we needed to remove them, they're really easy to remove. But then clip it back into place. It's really easy to shut.
We have a question.
Yeah, guess we got a question.
The question is, how tall is the horse area?
So this trailer here on a Bullseye model, you're going to be 7 foot tall. That is standard on a Bullseye model. If you wanted to go taller, we can do that in their straight loads, the Bullseye models. But if you wanted it in a slant load, we need to go with a Riot model, which is their standard model. So there is some options that we can look at there if you wanted a little bit extra height in that stall area itself. So appreciate the question. Let us know if you have any more. On these drop down feed doors, if you notice where that latch is, that's up there. But if you notice, they've got these bars here. So it's really easy to grab down low. Look, if you're a little bit more vertically challenged, I know you can step on the running board, grab a tie ring, but it's awkward. So they've done this cheater bar, which is fantastic. I know so many customers that have these Logans just absolutely love it because it is so much easier to open and close these guys. And then you're gonna have welded hinges, and they've actually got an access point in there drilled into that hinge there, so we can put some grease to it if we need to maintain it. So if you get a stiff hinge, a squeaky hinge, we can lubricate it. And then above these doors is gonna be actually a drip rail. So that drip rail really comes into play here in a couple months. As we get into snowy months where we have snow hit these trailers, Colorado, we have 300 days of sunshine. That sun will come out and it'll start burning off that snow. Well, all that moisture starts rolling off the top of the trailer, and it's wanting to find those kind of crevices and work into. Well, then at night, boom, we'll freeze, and it'll freeze up these windows. So that drip rail comes into play because it's going to try to keep that moisture away from the openings of this, so we don't have those, you know, freeze up on us. So again, really well equipped, you know, 4-horse, really easy to maneuver. You know, not big floor length, but separate tack rooms, you know, really separate this trailer from others out there. So I'm going to give you the stock number for reference on this guy. Again, it's a 2026 Logan Coach Bullseye with closet tack 4-horse. Stock number is 5N251110. If you have questions, and give us a call. If you have trade-ins, we can upgrade, downsize, whatever you need to there. Financing is available and delivery is an option. So give us a call. That number is 303-684-3400. We appreciate you tuning in. Have a good day.